Hello to all you boost heads and petrol heads and turbo freaks that are out there. Speed Trap Consulting giving you a contact again. Instead of doing a video this time based upon a description and features of a particular turbocharger, today we're going to look at a couple of questions that really need to be asked when you're looking at a right-sized turbocharger. This is based upon the video that we made about a year ago regarding what turbo size is right for me. And it's been getting some great feedback as well as some awesome questions that we've been receiving on the website and emails from you guys, as well as comments right here on YouTube. However, there are some questions that we need to be able to answer that are lacking in a lot of your inquiries, and in order to be able to help with a more effective list of turbochargers, or at least a family of turbochargers that'll work for you, these questions need to be answered first. So I'll just go right into it in terms of what the questions are, elaborate a little bit on it, and if there's any questions, of course, or you want to be able to work with us, you can always email us at our new email address, which is consult@speedtrapconsulting.com. Please remember that we are a consultation company, so we do normally get paid for this, but this is a great way to be able to know what size family turbocharger is going to be able to work for you best. Okay, so on with the show here. So the first question that we've noticed that no one seems to ask, which we think is always one of the most important, is what power level to the wheels are you attempting to make? We need to know what a horsepower goal is, and more importantly, we'd like to know what that is close as much as possible to the wheels. This gives a more accurate ability to analyze the type of turbochargers in that family is going to work well for you. Something that's going to work in a 600 wheel horsepower range is going to be completely different than a turbocharger that's going to be used for something in the 200 or 300 wheel horsepower range. Now we know that the 600 horsepower turbo can also make 200 and 300, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to do it very well, and vice versa. The second question is kind of a three-parter, which is the type of engine that's being used. Luckily, a lot of people have been giving us some great engine descriptions, especially in engine code, which is the most important. And even a make model in your vehicle will help find out which engine is going to be used. You guys get liter size without a problem, but we really would like to know what the engine code is so that we can analyze the specifics of that engine, the type of cylinder head system, valve train system that they're using, the type of compression ratio that it already has. This helps us narrow it down. But most importantly, it's the vehicle or the engine's country of origin. See, what a lot of people don't really understand is that sometimes you can have one engine of a specific engine code made in North America that is naturally aspirated. But say in Europe, there was the same model engine that was used, but was considered as a turbocharged model. So the compression ratio is going to be a bit different. The internal components are going to be a bit more robust than they would in the natural aspirated engine. But we need to know what country of origin that came from, because there are certain variances that we need to be able to know to help properly analyze. Moving on, we need to find out also what fuel do you plan to use to reach this power level based on that goal that you want to have. Different fuels are going to have different resistance to knock, and resistance to knock is really going to allow higher boost pressure levels for a turbocharger use, but it also helps us narrow down this family of turbocharger to use to make sure that within those boost pressure levels we're still in the right effective pressure level range. So if you're using something like race fuels from like VP fuels, like VP C16, Q16, C110, C109, something from Europe like ELF series of fuels or fuel additives, or something even exotic like FTW fuels, which are ethanol based in North America, that's going to be important because those have the highest resistance to knock, can allow for a high boost pressure levels and be able to be effective as possible. We also want to know if perhaps you're using something that's a little more accessible to the public, such as E85 based on either soybean or corn or other ethanol-based fuels, because they do have also a high resistance to knock, but they do have a lower BTU efficiency rate. And so that's going to help us determine, again, what turbocharger is going to be best in terms of its efficiency range for effective RPM range, boost pressure level, etc. That's why we list a lot of those in our descriptions and features of the turbochargers that we present. And then lastly, for those that are really just still using pump gas, 91 to 93 octane, or whether or not you're in Europe, you're using 95 to 99 Ron octane fuel. This helps us calculate and analyze, again, that amount of resistance to knock so that we can help calculate the best turbocharger. Next one is, are you looking for an OEM replacement or an aftermarket retrofit unit? Again, this also goes back to the engine type, engine code, as well as whether it was in Europe, Australia, or North America. Because some turbocharged applications with these engines do have an OEM replacement in which they have specific compressor and turbine housings that can fit. The problem with that is, though, that there's only a limit to what one can be able to do for efficiency for something that's going to be a stock location replacement. And we need to know that, especially for the power level that one is trying to reach. If you're looking for an aftermarket retrofit unit, I mean, there are literally hundreds of combinations from several companies that one can use. And it's just easier for us to help narrow that down if you're looking for something that's going to use universal flanging, such as a T3, T4 divided, something that's going to have maybe a T25 setup, and which you could be able to manipulate exhaust manifolds, intake manifolds for it to fit properly. So we need to know what that is. Moving on to the most important question that we feel that everyone should be able to ask when it comes to this is, what is the purpose of the car? Without purpose, there's really no point in doing any of this because it's extremely expensive and costly, and you want to be able to get the maximum bang for your buck. So whether it's circuit racing, drag racing, mile or half mile type of racing, or you're trying to do much of a street monster, which is utilizing much more torque and initial response than it is top end, or maybe even it's a combination. We need to know the percentage of each combination you may have. For example, you may have a street monster that is also a drag racer, and what that means is that you're driving the car normally on the streets, in reasonable traffic conditions on Monday through Friday, and you want to go to the drag strip on Saturday and Sunday. Well, that means that a turbocharger that you're using may be a bit on the larger side, but not too large, because you still want to have relatively civil street behavior for the car, and at the same time, when you're ready for drag racing, the top end power of the turbo can be able to release all the best energy that it needs to in order to work. Lastly, what is the maximum RPM that this engine is going to make? It's going to reach. And the reason why this is important is this helps us calculate based upon the pressure ratios from the adiabatic compressor and turbine exhaust flow energy maps as to where the maximum effective range is going to be for a given turbocharger. This is very important because of the fact that without knowing that type of information, we don't know if the type of turbocharger family that we're trying to choose is going to kind of flatten out as RPMs go up, or if it's going to stay all the way as high as it needs to be. And lastly, what upgrades towards turbocharging does this engine already have? Is it already just stock? Has it had certain components done to the cylinder head or the block? These things are going to make a difference in terms of turbo choice, because if you're looking at a maximum power level of something that the original stock engine can't make, you need to have these upgraded components so that the turbocharger can reach its maximum potential for what you need. So that's really about it. Just those particular questions is all that we need to have, in addition to the great questions that you've been giving us so far. We really appreciate everything that you've been doing with the turbocharger sizing video, and we're going to be making another one, so you can always contact us at consult@speedtrapconsulting.com. Again, thanks again for the wonderful feedback. Take care. Happy boosting.